Brothers and sisters, warriors of your own path, there comes a moment in life when you suddenly realize no one is coming to save you, not tomorrow, not next week, not when things get better. There is only this moment, this breath, this hour in front of you, and what you choose to do with it determines everything that follows. Welcome to 1 hour to win life. Transform your day, transform your destiny. Every single morning, life offers you a silent question. Will you rise or will you repeat? Most people repeat the same thoughts, the same habits, the same excuses, the same stories about why they cannot change. But you are not most people. You are here because a part of you knows one conscious hour can rewrite the entire script of your life. Why 1 hour? Because 1 hour is small enough that anyone can find it, yet powerful enough that it can shift your mind, sharpen your spirit, and anchor your purpose. In 1 hour, you can train your body until it remembers clarity. In 1 hour, you can remind your heart that it was never meant to live half asleep. The question is not whether the hour works. The question is whether you will show up for it. The world will always present distractions, but discipline is the art of returning to presence, returning to breath, returning to your commitments. When you honor 1 hour a day, you are not only changing your routine, you are training your destiny to bend in your direction. 1 hour of intentional action becomes a day of momentum. A day of momentum becomes a week of transformation. A week becomes a year, and a year becomes a life you can finally recognize as your own. Do not wait for motivation. Motivation is a guest. It comes and goes. Consistency is a master. It builds empires quietly. Give yourself 1 hour. 1 hour of focus. 1 hour of honesty. 1 hour of effort that scares the smaller version of you, and you will meet someone you may not have seen in a long time. The person you were meant to be. So today I ask you, will you continue writing the old story, or will you pick up the pen and begin the new one? The next chapter of your life does not require permission. It requires presence. It requires courage. It requires 1 hour of your absolute best. Stand up, breathe deeply, commit to your hour. Transform your day and you will transform your destiny. Your time begins now. 1 hour may appear small when compared to the vastness of an entire day, yet its true importance becomes clear the moment you choose to treat it as sacred. It is a slice of time that often slips away unnoticed, consumed by distraction, hesitation, or routines performed on autopilot. But when you reclaim that hour with intention, it transforms from something ordinary into something capable of reshaping the architecture of your entire life. Most people underestimate what can be achieved in a focused hour because they measure progress only through the lens of immediate results. They forget that transformation is not the result of a single grand moment, but the accumulation of countless consistent moments in which you decide to act with purpose. When you decide to dedicate 1 uninterrupted hour to your growth, whether mental, physical, or emotional, you are telling yourself that your future matters more than your comfort. You begin to understand that discipline is not punishment, it is an act of devotion to the life you want to build. 1 hour spent training your body is more than exercise. It is a declaration that your strength is worth cultivating. 1 hour spent in silence or mindfulness is more than stillness. It is the clearing of inner storms so you can move through the day with clarity rather than chaos. 1 hour spent studying, practicing, or developing a skill is more than learning. It is the careful construction of a mind that refuses to stagnate, and because this hour is repeated day after day, it becomes a rhythm that gradually shifts your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who wishes for change, but as someone who creates it. This shift is subtle at first, almost invisible, but with time it becomes undeniable. Every day you honor that hour, you strengthen the signal you send to yourself that your goals are real, your actions matter, and your life is worth the investment. In a world full of noise, dedicating 1 hour to personal mastery becomes an act of rebellion. The world will always provide reasons to delay, fatigue, distraction, stress, responsibilities, expectations, but none of these reasons hold more power than the decision to reclaim control of your focus. When you choose that hour consciously, you are practicing self-leadership. You are learning to navigate life rather than be carried by it. And as the days pass, you begin to notice subtle but profound changes. Your thoughts become sharper, your reactions slower, and more intentional, your energy more stable. You begin to meet challenges with a different posture, no longer overwhelmed but quietly prepared, because you know you have built yourself 1 hour at a time. Even when life becomes chaotic, that hour remains your anchor, a place you return to for strength, clarity, and renewal. It becomes a sanctuary in which your potential is not only awakened but continuously refined. Distraction has become one of the greatest forces pulling people away from their own potential. It disguises itself as urgency, entertainment, obligations, noise, and even comfort. The world constantly competes for your attention, offering endless opportunities to drift away from what truly matters. Yet the essence of inner strength is not found in avoiding distraction altogether, because complete avoidance is impossible, but in mastering the ability to return again and again to what you have chosen as your path. Discipline is often misunderstood as rigid control or self-help trick, punishment. But in reality, it is the gentle but powerful practice of returning to your focus whenever life tries to pull you sideways. It is the quiet voice within that says, "Come back." Even when the mind wanders, the emotions fluctuate, or the world becomes chaotic. And it is this ability to return that separates drifting from direction, stagnation from growth, and randomness from purpose. There will always be moments when you feel tired, overwhelmed, or tempted to take the easy route. The mind naturally seeks the comfortable option, the familiar escape, the quick satisfaction, but discipline teaches you to recognize these impulses without being ruled by them. Instead of judging yourself for getting distracted, you learn to simply guide your attention back, like placing a wayward flame back into the lantern. Over time, the act of returning becomes a habit, a form of mental and emotional training that strengthens your ability to stay aligned with your goals. It is not about being perfect, it is about being persistent in your commitment. Each return is a small victory that accumulates into lasting transformation. When you practice returning consistently, you begin to build trust with yourself. You no longer fear the moments when you lose focus because you know you can regain it. You no longer worry about setbacks because you understand they are temporary pauses, not permanent failures. This trust is one of the most powerful forms of inner freedom. It frees you from the constant internal battle between what you want to do and what you actually choose to do. Discipline becomes the bridge between intention and action, ensuring that your energy flows in a direction that serves your future rather than feeding your distractions. As your ability to return strengthens, you start to notice changes in how you move through the day. You become less reactive and more responsive. You choose your actions instead of being dragged by impulses. You begin to experience a sense of clarity, as if the noise around you loses some of its power to interfere. The same situations that once triggered frustration, procrastination, or self-doubt start to feel manageable, even insignificant. You develop a steadiness that others may mistake for calmness, but in truth it is the result of countless small returns to your center. With each return, you reinforce the understanding that your mind is not the master you are. The world may continue its chaos, but within you grows a discipline that refuses to be shaken because it has been built through practice, patience, and the unwavering decision to show up for the path you have chosen. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in life, yet it is often overlooked because it does not announce itself with fireworks. It grows quietly, almost imperceptibly, and then suddenly becomes unstoppable. The beauty of dedicating 1 hour each day to meaningful action is that this hour acts as a seed of momentum. Each time you show up, focus, and give your full effort, you are not only accomplishing the tasks before you, you are signaling to your mind, your body, and your spirit that you are a person who follows through. Momentum does not come from a single grand act or an extraordinary feat. It comes from the accumulation of small, deliberate actions performed consistently. Day after day, these actions build on one another like stones stacked in a precise formation. Eventually, what once seemed impossible becomes natural, effortless, and unstoppable. When you commit to 1 hour with full intention, the immediate results may feel small, almost negligible, but the energy you generate compounds in ways that cannot always be measured in the moment. Your mind begins to recognize the pattern of focus and effort. Your body adapts to the routine and grows stronger, more capable, more resilient. Your habits begin to shift quietly beneath the surface. You notice that the choices that once required struggle now flow with ease. Each hour becomes not just an action, but a signal to the universe, a declaration that you are ready to move forward and unwilling to remain stagnant. The power of momentum lies in this subtle accumulation. The person who wins in life is rarely the one who completes one monumental task in isolation. They are the one who consistently returns, hour after hour, to the work that shapes them into someone capable of greatness. Momentum also transforms your perception of time and possibility. What once seemed daunting, a goal, a challenge, a personal transformation, begins to shrink when faced with the steady force of daily commitment. That hour you devote is like a current building strength beneath a boat. At first the movement is barely noticeable, but soon the current carries the vessel forward effortlessly. The rhythm of showing up creates a natural flow where energy, clarity, and confidence are reinforced daily. This flow prevents procrastination, discouragement, and self-doubt from gaining traction because you have already taken the crucial step of aligning yourself with action. The more consistent you are, the more the resistance of inertia diminishes and the easier it becomes to continue. Even when fatigue, frustration, or setbacks arise, momentum keeps you moving forward because it is a force that feeds itself. One completed hour fuels the next, one day of commitment fuels the next, 1 week becomes a month becomes a year, and the one distant horizon of possibility becomes tangible and real. Moreover, momentum has a way of reshaping your identity. It convinces your mind and body that you are no longer someone who hesitates or doubts, but someone who executes, someone who moves, someone who follows through. The small victories achieved in a single hour ripple outward, influencing your interactions, decisions, and perspective on life. Suddenly, your potential stops being abstract and begins to feel inevitable. The person who once struggled to take action begins to recognize that success is not an event but a habit, and that habit is forged one focused hour at a time. 1 hour dedicated to intention has the extraordinary power to reconnect you with the deepest layers of your purpose, the ones often buried beneath obligations, distractions, and the endless noise of life. Most people move through their days in a fog, reacting rather than creating, drifting rather than steering, forgetting that every moment offers a choice to act with meaning. When you take a single hour to step out of that fog, to focus solely on what matters most, you awaken a clarity that transforms your perspective. This hour is not merely a block of time, it is a gateway to the version of yourself that knows exactly what you are capable of. It allows you to examine your priorities, evaluate your progress, and confront the subtle fears or self-doubt that may have been limiting your growth. In this hour, the mind becomes quiet enough to hear your own voice, the one that has always known the direction you were meant to go, but which is often drowned out by external pressures and internal chatter. Within this hour, you give yourself permission to explore your potential without compromise. It becomes a laboratory where you can test your strength, focus, and courage. You experiment with habits, refine your thoughts, and push past boundaries that previously felt insurmountable. The beauty of this practice is that it is not dependent on perfection or immediate results. Its power comes from consistency and presence. Each hour is an opportunity to affirm that your life is not something that merely happens to you. It is something you actively create. When engaged fully, the hour reminds you that even the smallest deliberate action has the capacity to ripple through your life, influencing outcomes, shaping choices, and gradually transforming the very architecture of your destiny. The awareness that comes from dedicating this time to yourself is profound because it awakens the understanding that your limitations are often self-imposed and your potential is far greater than your current circumstances suggest. This hour also acts as a mirror, reflecting back to you not only what you have accomplished, but also what you have ignored. It illuminates the areas where growth is possible and highlights the habits, thoughts, and behaviors that may have been holding you back. When approached with honesty and intention, this time allows for a confrontation with truth. A confrontation that is not punitive but empowering. It gives you the clarity to recognize your strengths and weaknesses simultaneously, to understand where to focus energy and where to release what no longer serves you. In doing so, you develop a sense of mastery over yourself, and with mastery comes freedom, the freedom to choose, to act, and to pursue your highest aspirations without hesitation. Perhaps most importantly, this hour fosters a connection with your vision of a meaningful life. It aligns your daily actions with your deepest values, creating a bridge between the person you are now and the person you are capable of becoming. It teaches patience, persistence, and courage, because awakening potential is rarely immediate. It requires showing up again and again, fully present, fully committed, fully aware. In this hour, the distractions of the world fade, and what remains is the raw, undeniable truth of what is possible. When focus, intention, and action converge, you begin to see that purpose is not an abstract concept. It is a practice, a lived experience, and this hour becomes a sacred ritual of self-creation, the spark that ignites momentum, clarity, and unwavering resolve. Action is the bridge between desire and reality, yet it is often the most difficult step to take because it requires courage, commitment, and the willingness to confront uncertainty. Many people spend countless hours planning, thinking, and hoping for change, yet the world does not bend to thought alone. Change responds to action, and not just any action, but decisive, deliberate action performed with full presence and intensity. 1 hour of focused effort is not merely a measurement of time, it is a declaration, a statement to yourself and the universe that you refuse to remain passive. When you commit to that hour with complete dedication, you create a container in which possibilities are no longer theoretical, they become tangible, experienced, and real. This hour becomes the proving ground for your determination, the arena in which your commitment to your future is tested and strengthened. The power of decisive action lies in its ability to overcome hesitation. Hesitation is the silent thief of progress, the subtle voice that convinces you to wait, to delay, to settle for mediocrity. When you act with intention, you silence that voice. You train yourself to recognize that perfection is not required and that waiting for ideal conditions is a trap designed to keep you small. The hour you dedicate becomes a practice in courage, a rehearsal in stepping into discomfort, and a lesson in the irreversibility of movement. Once you begin, momentum builds. One deliberate choice leads to another, each reinforcing your belief in your capacity to influence outcomes. In this way, the simple act of committing fully for 1 hour is not isolated. It spills over into every decision, every action, and every interaction, creating a cascade of transformation that can redefine the trajectory of your life. Furthermore, decisive action cultivates clarity. When you are fully engaged in an hour of focused effort, your mind cuts through distraction, doubt, and indecision. The fog of uncertainty lifts because you are no longer waiting for the right moment or questioning your ability. The clarity that emerges is not theoretical, it is embodied. You see more clearly what matters, where your energy should flow, and what choices will move you forward. In this state, hesitation diminishes, and you develop a natural rhythm of responsiveness to opportunities and challenges alike. Action, sustained consistently, becomes a habit, and habit becomes identity. The person who acts decisively begins to see themselves differently, not as someone who reacts to circumstances, but as someone who shapes them. Decisive action also reinforces accountability. By dedicating an hour to focused, intentional effort, you hold yourself responsible to your own standards. You no longer rely on external validation or waiting for permission to act. The hour becomes a covenant with yourself, a promise that you will show up, perform, and honor your own potential regardless of distraction, doubt, or circumstance. With each hour, you strengthen the muscle of commitment, deepen your resilience, and create a track record of accomplishment that builds confidence and reinforces the belief that your actions, no matter how small they may appear, accumulate into real lasting transformation. This hour, approached with full presence and unwavering resolve, has the extraordinary power to shift your trajectory because it transforms intention into reality. It is the point at which possibility crystallizes, where dreams meet execution, and where potential is no longer theoretical but lived and experienced. When action is decisive, deliberate, and fully owned, it becomes the engine of transformation, the mechanism through which you move from wishing to doing, from thinking to becoming, from dreaming to living. Consistency is the silent architect of greatness, the invisible force that builds empires, shapes character, and transforms potential into reality. It is not flashy, it does not demand attention, and it rarely receives immediate recognition, yet without it, even the most brilliant ideas, talents, and intentions remain dormant. The power of dedicating 1 hour each day lies not merely in records, in the hour itself, but in the unwavering repetition of that hour, day after day, week after week, month after month. Each hour acts as a brick in the foundation of your future, and the strength of that foundation is determined by the steadiness with which you lay those bricks. Life does not reward sporadic effort, fleeting bursts of motivation, or occasional inspiration. It responds to patterns, rhythms, and persistent alignment of action with purpose. To cultivate consistency is to step beyond
the fleeting fluctuations of willpower and habit, and to enter into a relationship with yourself that is grounded in trust, commitment, and relentless presence. When you make the 1 hour practice non-negotiable, it begins to define who you are. It is no longer just an activity, it becomes a declaration of identity. You are no longer someone who tries or hopes to improve. You are someone who acts, someone who shows up, someone whose discipline is sacred. The very act of showing up
consistently strengthens your self-respect, your confidence, and your ability to overcome obstacles. You learn that setbacks are temporary, and that missing a single hour is not a failure if it does not derail the pattern you are committed to establishing. Each return to practice, even after a lapse, reinforces resilience and strengthens your connection to your goals. This is the hidden power of consistency. It is both a teacher and a shield, training you to persevere while protecting you from the erosion of doubt and distraction. Consistency also magnifies the impact of your 1 hour exponentially. While a single hour may feel small in isolation, the cumulative effect of repeating it every day is profound. Over weeks it shapes habits, over months it transforms character, over years it redefines your life. The compounding effect is invisible at first, often imperceptible, yet it quietly changes the way your mind thinks, your body reacts, and your spirit engages with the world. Creates a momentum that carries you forward even when motivation falters, because the act of showing up has become ingrained, automatic, and non-negotiable. This habitual presence generates confidence and competence, turning challenges that once seemed insurmountable into manageable opportunities for growth. Moreover, consistency fosters mastery. Every hour you dedicate is an opportunity to refine skills, deepen understanding, and explore new levels of awareness. Repetition is not monotony. When it is intentional, it is refinement. Each return allows you to notice nuances, correct mistakes, and push beyond previous limits. You begin to recognize patterns, uncover strengths, and strengthen weaknesses. Over time, this repeated commitment transforms your abilities into instincts, your knowledge into wisdom, and your potential into results. Consistency, therefore, is not simply about persistence. It is about deliberate, focused, and intentional repetition that compounds into excellence. By making the hour non-negotiable, you establish a rhythm that structures your life around growth, clarity, and purpose. It becomes a daily anchor, a measure of self-discipline, and a source of momentum that carries you into every aspect of your life. The practice of unwavering consistency is the ultimate demonstration of self-mastery, the foundation upon which every achievement, every breakthrough, and every transformation is built. And it teaches a fundamental truth: greatness is not an accident, it is a pattern, and patterns are formed through relentless, dedicated repetition.